We are setting out toward those dark lands that hold the oldest and deepest secrets of human history, toward the place where writing was born. Some of the oldest written tablets produced by human hands, when unearthed and translated, revealed a truth that shocked the entire world. These broken and crumbling clay tablets, thousands of years old, tell stories of creation that still feel incredibly familiar to us today. The existence of the first human, a massive great flood that swallowed the world, the myth of creation from clay, and order rising from chaos. All these themes sound familiar to you, do they not? But is there truly a connection between these stories written on Sumerian tablets thousands of years ago, even before monotheistic religions existed, and the modern sacred narratives of today? Are the roots of modern religions hidden in the dusty tablets of Mesopotamia? Or is there a much larger, universal code regarding humanity behind these legends that we have yet to solve? Today, we are uncovering the secrets of beliefs and mythology. To understand the foundation of this massive mystery, we must first set the stage. Why the Sumerians? Because the Sumerians, in those fertile lands of Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, did not just build massive cities. At the same time, they achieved the greatest leap in human history, the invention of writing. Until then, tales, prayers, and the achievements of kings, which had been passed down from generation to generation only by word of mouth through storytellers, were immortalized for the first time by being engraved in cuneiform on wet clay tablets. These massive archives found in the soil of ancient cities like Ur and Nineveh brought to light the oldest known written narratives of humanity. These tablets were the first tangible backup of human memory ever recorded. And within those backups lay the first seeds of the belief systems that would shape the future. On the internet, you generally hear the term, Sumerian tablets, as a single phrase. It is spoken of as if they were all one single book. This is a major mistake. What we are talking about is a vast library belonging to different centuries, different cultures, and different languages. 4 major narratives, in particular, are our focus: the Eridu Genesis, the Epic of Atrahasis, the Enuma Elish, and the legendary Epic of Gilgamesh. Here, we must provide a very important and reliable detail that scholars always emphasize. Some of these massive epics are not Sumerian in their original, earliest forms. They circulated from language to language for centuries and were later updated by being recorded in the Akkadian or Babylonian traditions. In other words, these texts are not the product of a single author, but of the collective imagination and belief pool of an entire Mesopotamian civilization. Let us now enter those astonishing texts. The first shocking similarity appears at the origin of the universe and creation. When you look at Babylonian creation epics like the Enuma Elish, the story begins entirely with waters. Before the universe was created, there were only dark, infinite, and formless primordial waters. Everything is in a state of immense chaos. And then, a divine power intervenes, divides these waters, creates the heavens and the earth, and brings a cosmic order out of that wild chaos. Most researchers say that this divine power moving over the waters and the order emerging from chaos bear an incredible thematic parallelism with the creation narratives that emerged later. However, there is a golden rule here that we must pay attention to and which is often forgotten. Using a similar theme definitely does not mean it is the same narrative or a literal copy. As soon as the astonishment created by the waters passes, another very familiar and striking figure takes the stage: the creation of man. In Sumerian and general Mesopotamian narratives, the existence of man is always depicted as being directly linked to the earth, clay, or mud. The gods use soil to shape man and give him life by adding their own blood or breath. This unbreakable bond between man and soil appears very strongly in all of the world's major religions today. The belief that, we came from the earth, and to the earth we shall return. This detail shows us very clearly that this organic relationship between man and nature is not unique to only one tradition of faith, but also flourished with the same belief in those ancient Mesopotamian cities thousands of years ago. However, no similarity can be as striking and unsettling as the massive disaster legend I am about to tell, the Great Flood. When you read the epics of Gilgamesh and Atrahasis, you cannot believe your eyes. The themes of the story are so similar to one another. The gods, tired of the noise and sins of humanity, decide to destroy the earth with a massive flood. However, one of the gods secretly informs a single chosen individual. This person is asked to build a massive ship and protect himself from the disaster by taking samples of the living species on Earth onto that ship. Terrible storms swallow the Earth, and after the waters recede, the ship rests on the peak of a mountain. And humanity makes a completely new and clean start after this great flood. Could these parallels be just a coincidence? The archaeological proof that the flood narrative existed in Mesopotamian texts thousands of years before monotheistic religions remains one of the greatest subjects of curiosity and fiercest points of debate in the history of faith. After hearing all these similarities, the first question that will come to your mind is this: does that mean the story was exactly the same, and only the names changed? No, it is not exactly like that. At this point, we need to see the deep theological abyss behind the stories. Besides the similarities, there are massive and vital differences. In Mesopotamian narratives, a completely polytheistic structure prevails. The reasons for the flood are highly human-like reasons, such as personal fights between the gods or the fact that humans made too much noise and did not let the gods sleep. Man was created as a kind of slave to perform the tiring work of the gods. When we look at later monotheistic traditions, the philosophy of the story changes completely. There is a single creator. Man is not a slave but a being with free will. The flood is not a fight between gods, but the result of a very clear moral warning and punishment. The purpose of creation is perfect. So, our main idea is this. We are faced with similar motifs in a similar setting, but the moral and theological framework of the play performed on that stage is completely different from one another. We have come to the most burning question. Could there have been a direct cut copy-paste from the Sumerians to monotheistic religions? The most scientific and safest answer to this question is that the ancient Near East was a massive shared cultural basin. In those times, there were no border gates or the internet. As caravans, merchants, soldiers, and slaves moved between cities, stories traveled with them for centuries. The same themes were taken by different nations, needed, and reprocessed according to their own belief systems. Many modern academic studies clearly emphasize that Mesopotamian culture constitutes a very important background in the creation and flood narratives. However, we must never forget this very powerful sentence: being in cultural interaction is not the same thing as directly copying a text. Everyone living in that region was using the same mythological alphabet. So why do we keep revolving around the same themes for thousands of years? Why does every culture tell of waters, floods, and mud? Because the issue is not just a historical interaction. The real issue is directly related to the structure of the human mind. No matter where you go in the world, whether you are in Mesopotamia or in the jungles of America, the questions every human asks are always the same. Where did we come from? Why do we exist? Why is there both a wonderful order and a terrible chaos in the world? And why does nature suddenly collapse upon us with massive disasters, floods, and earthquakes? That great concept we call mythology is not the ignorance of ancient people, but a philosophical response system they gave to this complex world. The essence of the matter is this: because the human mind asks similar questions, it sometimes inevitably gives birth to narratives and stories that are very similar to each other. If our fears are the same, our tales will be the same too. There is another very interesting and concrete breaking point that triggered this cultural exchange: the Babylonian Exile. In the 6th century BC, when the Hebrews were exiled from Jerusalem and brought to the massive city of Babylon, they came face to face with the magnificent mythology, the giant temples, and the creation epics of Mesopotamia. This exile period is considered the years when cultural contact between beliefs was most intense. The real question bothering the viewer's mind is this: when a suffering people encounters the mythology of a cruel empire that exiled them, do they reject those stories completely? Or do they take those old stories, clean out the polytheistic structure within them, and reinterpret them through their own single and just creator with a brand new and much more powerful philosophy? This is one of the most fascinating debates in the history of religions. Despite all these scientific facts, why does this topic continue to be heatedly discussed in internet forums and books? Because this matter does not consist only of old broken pieces of stone. The real issue is the courage to question the origins of our own beliefs. Do religions and beliefs descend from the sky all of a sudden, and are they completely new? Or do they draw a brand new moral path for humanity by transforming the stories told by previous civilizations? Does humanity have a massive and shared subconscious memory? These questions are much heavier than the writings on the tablets. The reason the debate does not end is the massive philosophical weight of these questions that shake the foundation of human existence. Exactly because of this sense of curiosity, popular culture exaggerates the event incredibly. There are thousands of conspiracy theories on the internet claiming that everything came from the Sumerians or that aliens called the Anunnaki came and dictated these texts. These kinds of fantasies are fun to read and interesting stories. People love mystery. However, for a true scientist, Establishing interesting connections is one thing. Presenting strong historical evidence unearthed from the field is quite another. Instead of looking for aliens while reading Sumerian tablets, it is a much more rational approach to respect the magnificent literature and intelligence of ancient humans. When we set aside all these conspiracy theories, religious debates, and claims of copying, a bone-chilling truth remains. 5,000 years ago, there is actually no difference between that nameless Sumerian man sitting in a mud brick house by the edge of the Tigris, carving cuneiform into the tablet in his hand, and you sitting at your computer today. Just like you, he was looking at the sky and asking, "Where did I come from? What will happen after death? Why is nature so chaotic, and what is the meaning of human life?" He was thinking about origins, death, order, and great disasters. The truly miraculous thing is not that the texts resemble each other. It is that humans in every age and on every continent ask the same great questions with the same fears. As a result, those clay tablets emerging from under the ground are not just the beginning of human history, but also the oldest mirror of our soul. Religions, mythologies, and legends may change. Names and cities can be destroyed and rebuilt. However, that human search for meaning never disappears. Perhaps the real big question we should ask at the table is not whether today's religions and beliefs come directly from the Sumerians. The real question is why humanity has stubbornly pursued the same philosophical questions and the same hopes for thousands of years. Those broken and crumbling clay tablets may be thousands of years old, very ancient in age. But the questions those tablets silently ask are still as new today as they were on the first day, and they are still unanswered. So, what do you think? Do you think today's beliefs are a continuation of these ancient mythologies, or are they brand new and independent messages given to humanity? Share your thoughts and theories with us in the comments. To continue exploring the dark secrets of the past, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.